The past few weeks have been nothing but firewood for us, with a little bit of hunting interspersed between trips to and from the woods for our winter firewood. I brought you guys along with us because I wanted to share some of the beauty of the province that we live in. We live in the boreal forest, and it is so cool. So I hope you guys will stick around and join us for a scenic drive and a homestead firewood harvest. By the way, I just wanted to mention that the roads that we're driving on are logging roads, and the areas that are opened up in here are for logging and oil and gas. And while the roads are really rugged and sometimes they can be impassable, I've always been really impressed how clean the companies have kept their oil sites and gas sites and the logging here in Alberta. This is the first year that we have harvested firewood from Crown land. Up to this point, we have been using the trees on our own land, clearing those as we need to, and then using those as firewood. A lot of it is still green though, and needing better burning fuel, more efficient fuel, has driven us to look outside of our acreage. And this is the first time that Geoff and I have done it, just the two of us. Normally he and the kids are out on our acreage and they are collecting firewood, they're splitting and hauling it there. He has taken the kids out with him a few times doing this, but I have really been enjoying getting out here doing this. Actually, right now we are all sick, but we have no choice but to be out here doing this because we have quite a bit of snowfall coming towards the end of this week. And a lot of these places we are not going to be able to get the truck into, and we're certainly not going to be able to walk out to into the woods to get these trees. So we've had no other choice but to get everybody healthy food and some supplements, get them all comfortable at home. I'll nurse the baby, get her to sleep, and then Geoff and I will head out and go get a load at a time, come home, reassess, see how everybody is doing, make sure everyone has some nourishing food. We've been letting them, watch a little bit more TV than normal, or play video games, and everything else has kind of been put to a stop so that he and I can get out here and get our winter wood in, which leads me to this idea of, maybe someone is watching this and they're like, why would you do all of that? That is so much work to go out there and cut these trees down, and then, you need to split them and then load them and haul them and unload them and load them again. But it has been like such an adventure, it's been so gorgeous being out here and experiencing all of this. And I'm very maternal. I love taking care of my family. I love cooking and cleaning. I love raising children. My number one passion and goal in life is to take care of my family, raise my kids, be there for them, and just nourish them, not just their bodies, but their emotional health. And part of that is keeping them warm. And doing this has kept us from needing to work in other ways to make enough money to fill our propane tank. And it can cost thousands of dollars a year to fill a propane tank to heat the areas that we need to heat. And this year, especially because we're also heating a large shop and greenhouse, we have a lot of fuel that we need to be bringing in. This is keeping our kids warm. This is warming our water. It's keeping our greenhouse warm so that we can grow food for ourselves, even in the winter. There's a lot to this where, as I'm doing it, it just feels so worth it to me. I enjoy being outside. I enjoy the physical work. I enjoy the fact that I get to spend time with Geoff out in the woods. And something else too, I find I get more comfortable being out in the woods, and I do ask myself questions, such as, well, what if I was walking down this trail and there was a grizzly standing there? Or what if I saw a cougar peering out through the forest at me? How would I react, or how would I respond? And I feel like every time I get out, it's helping me to become mentally more resilient too, with the fact that I might run into these things. I might run into danger. My kids might run into danger, but this is where we live, and in many ways it feels safer than living in maybe a city, or even a suburb to a degree. And there's also just that feeling of sort of self-reliance. And I don't think you need to be self-reliant, but there is something to this. It sort of just feels very freeing to be providing a utility for ourselves that has us getting out into something that is really rugged and kind of dangerous. And the work itself is dangerous, and we're not close to help. We're not close to a lot of the places we go, and even where we live. A lot of times when people are injured, it's helicopters that come in. It's not an ambulance. So all of this has been on my mind as I've been out here thinking, do I like this? Do I enjoy doing this? I mean, at this point, this is the utility that we're set up with. Geoff has put so much work into our wood burner and getting it to run our furnace and heat our water and heat our shop and heat our in-ground flooring, that it would be ridiculous to then just say, well, I don't want to do this anymore. Let's go back to propane and then refill that propane tank. And it wouldn't be something that we could financially handle at this point, because we've become so reliant on firewood. On top of that, I'm loving the fact that we have a small propane tank, but we're not even filling that once a year. When we first moved out here, we were completely reliant on propane, and I can't remember how many times we had it filled, but it was very expensive. And the house was always a little bit cold that year because we were really shocked with how much propane it was taking to keep the house warm. So since having this off-grid wood burner, it's made a huge difference in finances, a huge difference in the way we're able to heat. Yeah, it's more than just going out to get firewood. Every time Geoff cuts a tree down, I think about two things. One, I feel really good about cleaning up the tree itself. I feel good about taking all of those dead branches and tossing them off to the side. We try to sort of spread them out so that they're not just creating a tinder brush pile. We also just cut the stump down as low as we can, and we don't leave large logs or anything like that behind. So to me, it's like we're tending to the forest. We're taking care of it, and I know it's just a little bit at a time. It's just a tree at a time, but there's actually a section that we've been working on, and we could notice it just in a couple of weeks working there, taking the trees out, and it was just more visible. The sunlight was getting down more to the forest floor. It makes it so that other trees that are healthier around the tree that's dead that we've cut down, it makes it so that those trees can grow. So that's something that I think about. And I'm going to interrupt myself for just a second, because a little bit before this, I was showing Geoff cutting these shorter pieces off of that tree that he chopped down. And I always ask him to cut me these trivets, and then he dries them for me, and he'll sand them and oil them, put felt pads on the bottom of them. And I love using those in the kitchen. They're really cute, but also I just have been using them over the years in place of hot pads or trivets or something like that on the table. So I'm actually thinking about asking him to start harvesting those from some of the trees that we are harvesting for firewood. And maybe we'll put those up in the shop for anyone who might be interested. The other thing I think about whenever we take a tree down is just like the nourishment that the tree has. It's so cool to me that, you know, this tree, it's dead standing, it needs to come down. It's just fuel for a forest fire, for example. But taking this tree down, those minerals in the tree and the nutrients in the tree, they just all return to the soil around the tree. On top of that, we are then taking that tree back to our home to be fuel, to burn it, and the minerals in that tree are not destroyed. They're in all of that ash that we clean out of the wood burner, and then we spread that on our own soil. So it's a multifaceted endeavor. It's just, there's so much to doing this that makes it feel worthwhile to me. On our way home, we saw an owl. I didn't want to get too close to it, so it's a little bit blurry, but you can see it right there. He was hunting, moving his head back and forth. I thought that was really neat.